Hey everybody, it's the Bulldog, Mr. Metalhead Warrior in New York, coming back at you. How you guys doing out there in YouTube land? I want to welcome everybody back into the channel, and any new ones that have recently found my channel, whether through word of mouth, videos, or whatever have you. I appreciate you guys coming in, and hope you like what you see. You can also find me over on Instagram on the exact same name, Mr. Metalhead Warrior New York. I'll be putting more stuff up there real soon. I've been being lazy, put stuff up on there. I'm back. I feel I took some time off. I had some surgery and dealt with it, some medical issues. I want to thank everybody that reached out, whether it was text, call, message, checking on me. I appreciate you guys. I'm back. I'm gonna get back into doing what I was doing. All right, this album came out. I'm sure everybody knows by the fingernail what I'm talking about. The new Megadeth, self-titled Megadeth. This is supposed to be their last album, their last hurrah, and then they're supposed to be doing like a 3 or 4, maybe 5 year tour of this album. Everybody knows things that Dave has gone through over the past few years with his cancer scare, his health issues, having to have his basically being retrained on how to sing again, and having therapy on his throat and voice or whatever have you. First of all, I'm gonna say I've been seeing a lot of different comments about this record, a lot of different reviews, a lot of different people talking about it. Um, some people hate it, some people love it, some people are in the middle like I am on this. Um, and there's people that flat out just you know are fanatics about the record, about the band. It's fine to be a fan, but when you start telling everybody it's your opinion don't matter, it's this, it's that, you know, doing that is just mind blowing dumb in my opinion. I understand you like the album, fine, but when it causes fights between people, it's pointless. Anyways, my take on this album, it's not a bad release. I'll say that right now. It's a solid release. It's not their greatest album by any stretch. Um, I think The Sick, the Dying, the Dead, their last album, which came out in 2022, I believe it was. I think that album is better than this album by a long shot. Um, as for past albums, I think their last really, really good album, the album that I personally like a lot, is Dystopia, which came out in 16, I think it was. Um, so yeah, like I said, it's not a real bad record. Um, you got you know, Dave. Dave always tries to surround himself with you know great musicians, and I think he did it on here. Um, you got Timu Timu Montessori, who's in best known for Winter Sun. Uh, he was in Bloodshot Dawn. He was in Buried Realm, just to name a few. And his guitar playing is next to none. I think he does an absolutely killer job on this record playing. I think him and Dave trading the leads, the riffs, going back and forth. It's like a 1-2 punch. I think he did an amazing job on this record. And of course, you got Dirk on drums. Uh, great, great drummer. Uh, Dirk was in Soilwork for many years, still is, and one of my favorite drummers of all time. I think his drumming is on here is perfect. I mean, it's not like he was in solo work where he had a lot of heavy blast beats, breakdowns. I think he fits in this perfectly on this record. And then James Lomenzo, who was in Black Label Society, he was in Ozzy, he was in David Lee Roth for a little bit. Dio Disciples, I believe. He was in Slash's Snake Pit for a little bit. Um, Also, I believe he was in Pride and Glory with Zach for a little while too. So he's been around. And I think he was in a couple other bands along the line. But those are ones that mostly everybody knows of. Then you have Dave, the longest, it was basically the only real founding member of Megadeth. Um, Getting into this album, like I say, it's not a real bad record. I think it's a solid effort. Um, like I say, it's not their best record by any stretch. It's not a great record. It's a solid release. Um, Again, it's supposed to be their last record. We'll see. Because Dave's already talking about doing a solo project. Um, there's that catches me off guard because you're saying you're going to retire, after that 3, 4, 5 year tour, which I believe they're going to be on tour with Maiden and Anthrax. I know they're coming around the area here in New York. Me and Mrs. are trying to get tickets to it. I'm definitely going to be going to that show. If you're a Megadeth fan and you catch them, go see them because just like Slayer did with their farewell tour. Megadeth's been one of my favorite bands of all time since I first heard them back when I was probably knee high. Um, from my brother. So back in like 84, 85. So yeah, especially through the 90s, great releases. Those first four, obviously those first four albums by them, Killing Is My Business, Rust in Peace, So Far So Good So What, um, what you call it, Countdown to Extinction. Um, I think some of their best albums ever written were earlier on in the career. Um, they had along the way they had some questionable ones. Euthanasia comes to mind for me. Not a real bad one, not a real bad record, but you know it was a chance for them. Much like Elm Risk, which came out in '99, I think it was. You know, that was just one album that had a couple good tracks, but more of a very mainstream hard rock heavy sound to it. That was about it. Um, then Born Needs a Hero would come out in '01. Not a real bad record. It's supposed to be a return, but it there's good tracks on that record. I got them up on Metal Archives because I was looking at something else. I decided to pull it up while I was doing the stream. Um, you know that Metal Leads Hero was not a bad record at all either. My favorites by them um, was the '04 release. System Has Failed. I think that album is a tremendous album by them. It's one of my favorite albums by them of all time. Um, I think that album brought them back to their earlier sound. But getting into this new one, self-titled Megadeth, a lot of people know they did the cover Ride the Lightning, which I'll get to in this stream. I'll talk about it. And then they also did a Target special where they have another bonus track on it called Bloodlust. Mrs. Metalhead ended up picking it up for me. She went shopping for something and she picked it up, so I have two copies of it. One with well, the one I got from Black to Black Records, which is the label it's on, and then she ended up picking me up this one. Um, so, but getting back into it, like I said, it's not a real bad record. Um, I think Dave's vocals aren't the same. Um, he can't really hit those notes. He tries to, but he can't. It's a lot more laid back for him. Um, Starting it off, you got Tripping Point, which I first heard this song. I like this song. It starts off almost like real atmospheric in a sense. With like a atmospheric hard rock, you know, lead into it, and then it just goes right into the classic Megadeth guitar sound. Um, and it's not a real bad track. Uh, it has some very good riffs on this track. Like I said, I think Dave and Timu on this entire album, especially this track, the leads, the trade offs, you know, the solos are Very, very good. I enjoyed it a lot. Um, again, the drumming, like I said before, is monster on this drum. It's actually perfect. Again, the leads and the change ups on this. Lyrically, it's not really really bad. I'll get into that too. There's some lyrics on here that seem like they're AI generated, which a lot of people were saying. I was like, no, until I saw the cover, and I have to say, the cover itself, I think, explains Megadeth with this album. Megadeth has always had album covers that spoke to you, meaning you knew by looking at that album cover what it was going to be about. You know, this one is having it to playing right, to playing white with the flames, the body coming off of Vic. It leads people to. It doesn't lead people to, to have imagination about it. It's just there. Um, is it saying it's the final album? More or less. But like I said, past ones, the album cover spoke to you. You knew what you were getting. So, I mean, they've had some questionable album covers, Risk, Cryptic Writings, I think Super Collider. It didn't leave nothing to imagination. But getting back to this song, it's like I said, Triple It's not a bad record, song. It's just some of the choruses aren't there. Megadeth would always have those choruses that you would hear it and you would start singing it in your head, and you'll sing it just out of clear blue. Um, like I said, not a bad song. Like I said, like a lot of people, I like the heavier and the more aggressive songs by Megadeth. Although they've come into their own with the power ballads in the past. Um, next one, um, I'm sorry. The next one is I Don't Care. It's again not a bad track. Um, it has that punky feel to it, thrashy sound, almost like a hardcore sound to it at times. If anybody remembers Dave's solo project back in the '90s, MD 45, this song could be like it was written back then for that record. That's how punky it is. Little, you know, the heaviness of it. Um, Melodic at times. Like I said, the solos in this have that classic Megadeth sound to them. There's that distinct solo sound, that distinct sound that they always done. The solos, the 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 drops of it. The riffs. Like I said, not a bad track by any stretch. It's just I understand it's called I Don't Care, but there's no. This is a song that he's taking aim at Dave Ellison. You know, everybody knows everything that Dave was going through, that Dave did, the accusations, um, even the past beef that Dave and Dave had in the past, back in like the early 2000s, I think it was when they were fighting over things. Excuse me, but like I said, it's a straightforward song. It has a punky feel, the punky sound to it, and just the atmosphere of it. And the song in a whole has that coming to get you type vibe to it. Which reading the lyrics, you'll understand what I mean. Next one, "Let There Be Shred." Um, this song I really really like. It's upbeat. It has some very very good breakdowns. Again, the leads that are extended in this, the riffs. Um, I think this is Dave's letter to us, the fans, to the metal community, to the entire metal scene. That he came, he left, you know, one project, and he started this, and this was his brainchild that took off. Not bad song at all. It's probably one of my favorite tracks off this record. Um, Upbeat at times, breakdowns. Uh, Really not a bad song. This is like when I first heard this when he dropped as a single. This song really got me more than the next one, Puppet on Parade or uh, Puppet Parade. Um, this is it's not a bad track, but I think it's some of the lyrics are you know like filler words. Like he didn't know what he wanted to say a lot of times, which is odd for Dave. But you know, like I said, it's not a, it's a mid paced tune. Has some solos in it that again are very good. Next one made I'm sorry, another bad day. I'm skipping over tracks. Another bad day, mid paced. This one has like a countdown and like a cryptic sound to it. Um, like I said, slow. It's slow paced, but then it picks up lyrically. I The next one, Made to Kill, is my absolute favorite favorite song off this record. Made to Kill. Um, it's it's faster, it's harder. The riffs are that genuine Megadeth sound. The drumming on this again, it's heavy, it's hard, it's loud. Um, and there's a riff at the end of this song, probably like the last, I would say, minute 20 of it. It just takes off. It actually killer riff. And again, Timu and Dave, the battling back and forth on this track alone is like superb. Um, Next one, Obey the Call, thrashy, very riff oriented. It has that old Megadeth Metallica sound, in my opinion. Um, Not a bad track. It's not one of my favorite, but it's a quality song. Then the last two you have I Am War and The Last Note, which are very similar. Um, like I said, melodic at times, riff oriented. You know, it it leads up. In it. Um, Not bad songs at all. Could be better. Like I said, some of the lyrics tend to run on. Some of the choruses aren't there. Um, like I said in the beginning, it's not a real bad record. It's not a great record. Some of the songs could be better. Um, the choruses were always Megadeth thing, and they're just not. There's not too many of them that you can sing along with that stick in your head. You know, um, One of the last songs on the record is the cover that he did, his version of "Ride the Lightning." Now, whether this was an homage to being in Metallica or he still has that hate that he had in that vendetta against James and Lars, you know, for getting rid of them. It's no secret what happened. If you guys been in the metal, you guys know that backstory. Everybody knows it. Um, I think he still has, that taste in his mouth that you know he Megadeth really never got over the hump of overtaking Metallica like Dave wanted to. Because quite frankly, Metallica's last album released, 72 seasons, I think it is. I think that album is better than this album. And I hate to say it that way. That album's a little bit heavier, a little bit faster all the way. I mean, granted, some of the lyrics on that album, 72 Seasons, are cringe also. I'm just saying that. And for me to say that about a Metallica album over a Megadeth album, people know how I feel about Metallica. I don't hate them. I don't love them. I'm still a big fan of them. I feel that they started to stray away once they got big back in the 90s. And Megadeth the same way, the well known, I think Countdown to Extinction was their big album. Um, their best album, in my opinion, is Rust. Always will be. Getting back to Ride the Lightning, Dave tried to have his vocals sound as close as he could to James, but it's nowhere near how it originally sounded. Even the riffs that Hammett did on that song, they tried to like duplicate that, and you could hear it, blatantly hear it. Um, why Dave chose Ride the Lightning for, I don't know. When he really didn't have that much writing in that song, I think he had like a 1 second to maybe a 20-second part where he wrote. Um, I know people were saying that he could have picked something from Kill 'Em All, and I agree. Um, he could have chose Jump in the Fire, um, Metal Militia, No Remorse, Phantom Lord. I would love to see him do, you know, Metal Militia or No Remorse, even Phantom Lord. Any one of those three, I would love for him to have done instead of Ride the Lightning. Um, I still say it's not a bad record. If this is their final record, I think Dave went out doing what he mastered. Through all the trials, tribulations. You know, talking to talking to come from a guy who's been in Dave, who's been in rehab, what, 15, 16 times? The drugs, the alcohol abuse, whatever have you. I think this album is him putting everything out there, especially I Don't Care, Made to Kill. Um, it's not a real bad record by any stretch. At the back of it, you can see the extra bonus track on there. It's not a real bad record. It's solid for them. Um, it could have been a lot better, I think. But like I said, getting back to Dave's health issues, you know, it happens. Um, but again, people are saying it's their greatest album, it's their best album, blah blah blah. I'm interested. How you guys feel about it? Feel free, drop it in the comment box. You know, what was your take on it? What was your favorite tracks off it? What do you think? Going forward. I know Dave was saying again about doing like a 3, maybe 5 year tour of this record, and then he was talking about quite possibly doing a solo career. You know, again, that's like people were saying about Kerry King when Kerry started doing his own band. That's the same path. Also, the thing that made me scratch my head about this release. All right, again, it's on Black to Black Records. He basically put out like 2 or 3 different versions of it. Because he had the regular version that ends with Ride the Lightning, and then you had the Target promo one that ends with Bloodlust, which I think Bloodlust and um, Nobody's Hero, I think it was called, should be on this record. I think those two tracks would have made this album better instead of having them as bonus tracks on totally different variants. They had one for Walmart, I think it was, where Nobody's Hero was on that, and it came with like a patch or something like that. Um, but that's what I'm getting to is Dave was always the one talking about corporations being greedy. Hate to say it that way, but when you're putting out different, the same album with bonus tracks on it at different, you know, big name stores, that's just you saying you want the money. Don't get me wrong, it's Dave. They can do what they want. Dave's been doing this for quite some time. But still, I'll let you guys be the judge of it. Is Are they going to do another record, or is this the last one? like I said, if they come to your town, go see them. I know I'm gonna. Um, I have nothing but respect for Megadeth and Dave, what they've done over the past, like I said, 42, 43 years. 17 albums in their catalog. That's not counting. Um, yes, I have. Like I said, I was looking for something else, and I pulled them up. Um, 17 albums in their catalog, numerous you know singles, EPs and box sets and best ofs, compilations, live albums, you name it. And I think Megadeth carved their own path. Did they ever? Did they ever take over Metallica? No, and I think that's still gnawing at Dave. Um, I mean, he came close to a couple albums, but he never really got over the hump. I'm glad that I've seen Megadeth. God, I think now 8, maybe 9 times. I think now I've seen them. I will go see them again. When they come around. Like I said, I think they're playing. I think they're going to be playing with Maiden and Anthrax, if I'm not mistaken, because the thing that I saw about it was those 3 bands. But definitely, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I know I babbled a little bit, but check out this album. Let me know what you think in the comments. Your favorite song, what you think about it. Like I said, it's a solid release by them. It's not a real bad record. It's not. It's not nowhere near their best album ever. Um, it certainly is not their greatest album. Like I said, I think um, "The Sick, the Dying, the Dead" is better than this record. Um, I think "Dystopia" is head to toe better than this record. And "Dystopia" is like one of my favorite records by them. I know a lot of people didn't like "Dystopia." I love that record. Like I said, I think it's better than this record. I could be wrong. It's my opinion. But again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Anybody that's new to the channel, if you like this type of stuff, normally I don't say this, but when I'll take a chance, subscribe, hit that little bell thing, um, and I'll be going live more. I'll be getting back and doing my reviews, and I'll be doing more of a wrap around of my my studio. I got a bunch of new stuff that I want to talk about. I got a bunch of new stuff coming. I got I'm working on a stream for a new creator, new mayhem, new Warhammer 666 double EP. Yes, I'm considering that those 2 releases for 2026, and also I'm going to be talking about an album that came out back in 2005. I think it was 2006. Warning. They did a reissue of one of their records. Absolutely killer depressive doom record. I'll be talking about that record soon. But again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it. This is the Bulldog. Stay hard, stay heavy, stay metal, stay brutal. Keep that metal flowing. And like the Bulldog always says, if you're gonna do something, make that shit count. I'm the Bulldog. I'm out. Later.